Hey everybody, I have a short video for you featuring my PlayStation 1 collection, and this is also the top 10 for the PlayStation 1. And playing on the screen here on the 27-inch Sony Triniton is Parasite Eve, and the introduction screen as it runs. It's one of the more unique games for PlayStation for sure, so this is a unique story, and it's got a little bit of gore in it, actually a lot of gore, and it's got a really nice story, so I think it's pretty unique for PlayStation 1 at the time, and you didn't see too many things like this on, let's say, Nintendo 64, a totally different style of game than what was on the original PlayStation. I mean, the original PlayStation was revolutionary. It was just a simple, almost open platform for developers, and a lot of great games came out of it. Now, as far as my history and my experience with the original PlayStation, now I didn't have the original PlayStation when it was relevant. I got it later in life. I got later the PlayStation 2 and 3 and 4 and so on and so forth. During the PlayStation 1 era, I actually had the Nintendo 64, so that's what I was playing. And I remember during the time it was really either Nintendo 64 or PlayStation. That was it. It was really Sega Saturn. I didn't know it even existed, and that was the 5th generation. I mean, the early part of the 5th generation, had the early consoles that went away quite quickly. Like the Atari Jaguar, for example. But the real 5th generation was Sony PlayStation versus N64, and at the time I was diehard N64. I just came off of the Super Nintendo to N64, so I was full on, and I really loved the Zelda game they had, so I was in that camp all the way. But later I got PlayStation, and you can see I don't even have an original PlayStation as far as the console itself. It runs seamlessly off my PS2, which I keep there all the time. The only thing you have to add is that gray colored memory card. A PlayStation 1 memory card is all you need, and you can run it flawlessly on your PS2. And the controller right there, the PS2 controller, which is basically the same controller as PS1. It's not the original PS1 that didn't have the directional thumbstick buttons on it. But this is a updated version, and I know PlayStation 1 eventually got this controller as well, so it's really one of my favorite controllers. I like it a lot more than the original PlayStation controller that didn't have the thumbsticks right there, so it's a really nice controller. And yeah, and since I don't even have the original console, I mean, there's no need for it. I know they're quite cheap, actually, because, people do probably what I do. Exactly the same thing. They just run it off of their PlayStation 2 or PlayStation 3. The original PlayStation 3 also played PlayStation 1 games, so the consoles itself are quite cheap if you find them out and around or on eBay, and I never bothered getting one because there's no need. And as far as my top 10, yeah, I have here Parasite Eve, which I was talking about earlier. It's a double case CD. Really fun, really unique game. I never got to play the second one, but I always heard the first one is the better one of the two. So, anyways, Parasite Eve. Next to that, Doom. Of course, I have to have a copy of Doom, one of my favorite games of all time. And this version on the Sony PlayStation is really good. It's really fluid. The graphics are really nice. The details are really nice. So probably this version and the Atari Jaguar version are the two premium versions of Doom at the time. So this one's a little more updated, even more than the Atari Jaguar version. But yeah, it's amazing. So the original Doom on the original PlayStation. I know there's also a long box version as well, but I never bothered with it. I have such a small PlayStation 1 collection. And in general, as you've seen, if you've watched any of the other collection videos I have, my collections are all very small. They're you know, anywhere from 10 to 20 to 30 games per system. So that's about it. Just simple and easy, just what I really like. Next, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. I mean, this I would play endlessly. It's such a good game. I think this is probably the best of the Tony Hawk series. The music is really good and very fitting for the type of game that it is. Just messing around, doing different jumps. It's a lot of fun. I think Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 was revolutionary at the time. We had nothing like it before in the earlier generations, so it was just absolutely wonderful, a lot of fun. I mean, to play with your friends or just goofing around, so it was a great game. Alien Trilogy. This is another wonderful game. I always liked the Alien movies, so Alien Trilogy naturally fit into that. And it's a really good Alien video game, I would say. It's a lot of fun, it's gory, has jump scares, things like that. So it's a really nice game to have, Alien Trilogy, in my top 10 for the original PlayStation. And Driver 2. Now this is, between this and the original Driver, I prefer Driver 2. Driver 1 starts out with this, what is this training ground, or you're in this parking lot underground, and you have to do, I don't know, 7 or 8 different tricks before you even get out of the parking lot. I could never even get out of the parking lot. There are so many things you had to do, and that's why I just went straight to Driver 2 as the better game for me. This is like an early version of Grand Theft Auto before there was Grand Theft Auto, at least before the 3D version existed. So it was revolutionary, a fun game as well, a good time. And this is also a double disc as well, as you can see. So Driver 2, another one of the all-time greats on the original PlayStation. Now, a game that needs no introduction, Castlevania Symphony of the Night. I didn't know about this game back in the day. I just wasn't into the 2D games anymore because everything was coming out in 3D, so you didn't really think about it. And especially Castlevania, where I wasn't the biggest Castlevania fan. I played some, but not all of them. So when you first see this game and you see it in action, you're wow. You see the graphics, how much fun it is, right, when you're whipping those giant wolves right in the beginning. So it's a really cool game. It's a lot of fun, great graphics, just an amazing 2D game. It's probably this and Rondo of Blood are the two best Castlevania games, I would say, overall. But this one I have, it's a lot of fun. Unfortunately, it's a little bit expensive now, but I think it's still obtainable. And here I have it here, complete in box, just like I have all the other PlayStation games I have here. Dino Crisis. Now, it's another game that kind of reminds me of Parasite Eve. It's kind of similar in a lot of ways, except with dinosaurs. So it's a lot of fun as well. It's you know, it's a quirky game of its time. It's very 5th generation, and it has that PlayStation feel, or even like a little bit of that Dreamcast feel. It's one of those games. You know, it's a great game if you like shooting dinosaurs and kind of a little bit of a scary game as well, I would say. So that's Dino Crisis. And here, Warcraft 2. Now this is basically an exact port of the PC Warcraft 2. Now Warcraft 2, I would play a lot on the original, I should say original, but on my computer at the time, on my PC at the time. So that I would play, and I would even play this online. I remember a dial-up modem with my friends. But Warcraft 2 is a lot of fun. This one is Warcraft 2. It's called, I think, Dark Sage, something like that. I don't know why they added the Dark Sage part. It's exactly Warcraft 2 that's on the PC. And it's a lot of fun, the orcs versus the humans, and it's just a really fun game. I really enjoyed it. Warcraft 2 is one of my favorite. I never caught up with this series after this. I know they became a huge series that later on. Was it World of Warcraft and all that, but I never kept up with it. I just had the original right here. I had this on PC, and then Sony PlayStation, because it was so popular, it received lots of computer ports, and this is another one. So it's a great game, just like in Doom, you know, Doom as well, another computer port. So I guess my original PlayStation is kind of like my home for computer ports, we could say. And Command & Conquer Red Alert. I believe this is the second Command & Conquer. I was also playing this a lot on PC as well, a dial-up modem with my friends as well, so it was a great game. This version is similar to the original. I mean, it's just the story is a little bit different, so I mean, it's the same idea for the most part, just a little bit different weaponry. The story is a little bit different, but it's a 2-disc, as you can see. It's basically the carbon copy of the one that's on the computer as well. So it's a great game. The original Command & Conquer I have on the N64, and I showed during my N64 video my original version of Command & Conquer. And yeah, this is always a lot of fun. I don't know, this kind of like strategy kind of war games I've always really liked. I mean, it's kind of an era of that, where we had the Command & Conquer, and you know, we had Warcraft as well at that time, kind of the medieval version of Command & Conquer. So it was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed it. So Command & Conquer Red Alert right here, and I believe there's one after it, Tiberian Sun, which I had on PC, but I don't have on PlayStation currently, so I just have this right now. And the final one here is Final Fantasy VII. As you can see with the giant sword there, the double pack game. So Final Fantasy, I've only played partially through it. I've never gone all the way through, but it's a great game. It's a lot of fun. It's a, you know, kind of, it's a role-playing game, but it's a simpler, it's not a, I never got into like the really boring, you know, role-playing games, very stiff. This one's pretty fun, and I really like the theme of it. It's really interesting as well. So anyways, that kind of gives you an idea of my PlayStation 1 collection, my top 10 games, and how I play, which is the simplest way you can get to save as much space as possible, is not even have the console, just run it off your PlayStation 2. And here I have Parasite Eve just playing in the background, which is such a fun game, and the intro is one of my favorites. So anyways, thank you so much. Like and subscribe. I do have a couple more collection videos I'd like to share as well, and maybe some ideas, maybe some let's plays or things like that I can showcase some other kind of unique games that you don't see too much. Maybe some more Atari Jaguar content. We'll see. Anyways, thank you.